What's going on, all? This is Anon. None of this is financial advice. This is for entertainment purposes only. We're going to talk about Aterian, the overall market, meme stocks, whatever anyone wants to talk about. Cough is back tonight. I had some spaghetti with marinara and. What's up, Jerry? What's up, Use Poo? Yeah, you guys got tied for first. All right. Just put my daughter down. Let me go ahead. What's up, Blob? What's up, Just Investor? What's up, Tom? Dang it, fourth. Yeah, it was a pretty good day. Let me go ahead and get this linked into the Discord real quick. Kind of go over what we saw. Sorry, guys. I found with my acid reflux, I cough more when I have like marinara or some sort of like tomato base, something acidic. And I had a big old helping tonight, so it's scarfing down pasta because we got a late start to our dinner. First time I've been able to catch the live feed. Thanks for all the hard work you put in. Thanks, J-Thumb. Jason, damn man, on you feeling okay? Yeah, I'm fine. Some of you guys know I have acid reflux pretty badly, and a hiatal hernia, which kind of aggravates the GERD. Just another name for acid reflux. But basically, what happens is when I eat like acidic food, some of the stuff like pushes up into my esophagus and it causes me to cough. Everyone thinks I have COVID, but really, I'm just like need to get healthy. Probably lose a couple of lbs. I'm gonna say, all right. AMC Reddit talking about Ater. Interesting. Wonder why that is. Were they comparing? Oh, were they probably talking about the Fintel stuff? They're like, come on, guys, we can beat them. You're right. You're right, Jason. I just need some scotch. So, don't mind me. I'll just pour myself a little. Some of you guys know I have a barrel but the spigot comes out real slow. So, give myself more than I usually do there, but it's not that bad. I'm using not a scotch cup, but like a glass, and it came out a little bit faster than I thought on that. That's not that bad. It's like 2 fingers. It's fine. Ater had a good green, but yeah, GME made my day too. I said, most of you guys know I've always been in GameStop, but I also obviously write DD for Aterian because I think that's another stock that's highly manipulated. So, yeah, I mean, the bowling charts are right here. I mean, you can remove them if you want, but you basically just look at the color. So, this top one is the upper. That's sitting there at like 583. The lower one right now is sitting at 203. And the mid is this blue one. Yeah, the blue one, right? Sorry. Yeah, and that's at like 393. So ideally what we'd like to see, and then this one is what? Moving exponential moving average. So we'd like to see this come back up in this range right here. That'd be nice. And interestingly enough, I guess for some reason I don't have VWAP on here. There, I should have VWAP on there. Where's VWAP? I don't want view up bands. I just want the view up. Okay. What color did they make the view up? Guess maybe it's this purple one. Yeah, that's purple. Right, that's the purple one here. No, that's moving average. I'll have to play with this. I don't use Weeble that much, to be honest with you guys. I know I stream it, but I use Thinkorswim most of the time to do most of my stuff. I just think aesthetically this looks nicer than than the other stuff. So when I stream it on Weeble for you guys for the level 2s and the order flow. All right. So I think today's run-up was manufactured as the volume was so low. Oh, sorry, you're saying I think today's run-up was manufactured as volume was very low. Would like them to start gaining strength again. Yeah, so here's the thing. Right? We ran up on almost no volume. So this very much could just be like us either being like a sympathy thing, where shorts were closing some, or it could be, for example, just a bull trap. They have us run up on a Wednesday, try to get people to buy the 350s, think that this is it, and then they just push it back down under 3, and then go from there. Or this could be the start of something. We'll find out. But like if we, for example, go to GameStop. GameStop had a good day. And if you kind of look at the history of like each time they run up, right? Probably should do it zoomed down a little bit. All right. Like you'll see a start of like a run, right? A start of a run. Start of a run. Even just like a small push up. But like if you start going down the line, you've got these, swings up and then they swing down and then they have these massive, like huge amount of covering, pushes up into the 200s. Then what does that? Then they bleed it off for a while. This is just how GameStop, goes. Periods of bleeding, no volume, then a bunch of, buying. It's starting to develop a pattern. But as the markets are like kind of dumping, it poses an interesting question which is do they have less liquidity? And so are we having these, these things, are they covering because they have a lack of liquidity? But, there wasn't like a ton of volume on GameStop. There was like a good amount, but like we had basically the same amount as this day. So the question is this the start of something, or is this just kind of like, a bull trap that they're trying to basically trap a bunch of money in right now? Because with bull traps, what they do is they basically fake you out. They have it go all the way up, and then they bleed it off, and then you don't get what you think is going to happen on that Friday on OPEX. Can you see the DM I sent you after you finish your stream? Let me pull up Discord real quick. All right. Oh yeah, you wrote me that piece where you're basically breaking down what you thought was happening with the moving averages. Yeah. I told you I thought you should post it. Oh, I didn't write that, did I? I literally wrote it out. Excuse me. I started writing it out that you should post that, and I guess I didn't hit. That's my bad. My bad, Hyun. All right. Yeah, you should definitely post it. I think, listen, like writing skills, get your stuff out there. Like, if you're wrong, then people will let you know. Like but like when I read through it, I don't see any immediate problems. I don't know, like you said that typically you guys use a different method of like monitoring the moving average. So I can't tell you if that's right or wrong because I don't use the Korean method, but in fact, I didn't even know there was a separate method. I know there's a different one for Japanese, but I was going to say, I mean, I can't tell you you're right or wrong because I don't know how that works. But I think you should get the information out there. I mean, I would write up a post on Aterian and go for it. But yeah, I mean, I can very much see, with Aterian, are we consolidating in this area? We'll just kind of chop up and down in this range. All right. I posted a few tickers on Webull. I think it's the toots trying to gain retail's attention. Yeah, I mean it's very possible. It's just a bull trap, and so here's what I'm doing right now is I'm just buying shares, and I'm buying if I can find opportunities on the options chains because it's so it swings so violently right now. Like today was pretty crazy as far as we weren't that crazy on Aterian. Like we just basically consolidated most of the day and then took a step up at the end of the day. But what I thought was pretty crazy was watching the SPY do some this part right here. That's a fake me out. Like this right here, and then, all of a sudden you drop from, this is a 1 minute, right? So within, let's say 10 minutes, right? From 10 minutes, you hit, what was that, 396? 396, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6 minutes later, you were sitting down here at 392, a 6-point swing in 6 minutes. That's huge on the SPY. That's literally billions of dollars flying around, and they completely faked out a bunch of people because this was building momentum. People were like, all right, it's going to keep going up. Bears were like, oh my God, this is it. They probably bought a ton of puts when they saw this action. They're like, don't want to miss out on the market crash. And what do? They just push it on up. Almost hit 400. And then finish up here. That's a pretty crazy move going from here all the way down here. That's a huge swing. They did it a couple of times where they were like, oh, we're going down, then pop right back up. Oh, this is it. Pop back up. Just from here all the way up to here was that 391? Like an 8-point swing, roughly, from the low of the days. These ones basically to the very, very top. Crazy. So, yeah, I don't think the market's really, some people know what they're doing, and they know, that I think Max Payne, today was an OPEX day, right, on SPY? Not for most tickers, but for the SPY, they usually have 3 OPEXs. And I was going to say, I think Max Payne was 393. If I'm not completely lost my marbles, I didn't look at the SPY's options today because I wasn't playing the SPY, but just watching, pretty crazy price movement, head fakes both ways. I noticed GME's pattern revolving around the monthly options last year. Yeah. I think you're right there. Yeah, but definitely write that up. So, oh wait, I didn't announce this on Discord, did I? Or it's Twitter. I should probably do that. Kind of jumped right in. Did someone else post it? Just Investor did, but let me grab this. We'll do a at everyone. Come here, me cough. All right. And then last thing, Twitter, right? $, Aterian. LiveStream. Something going on with memes. All right, there we go. Yeah. All right. There, I did everything I was supposed to now. So now I'm caught. Let me get some scotch in my throat. All right. 8 people from the Discord in 1 second. Oh, I guess coming in. Oh, yeah. Take a shot of apple cinnamon vinegar to counteract the acid. Doesn't the scotch counteract my acid? Do you think that works? I'm willing to try it. All right. You guys talk amongst yourselves for a second. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab a apple cider vinegar. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. I also grabbed some Tums, but I did try the apple cider vinegar. So let's see if this helps. When you were in the Marines, did you see any Jacob's Ladder's night? No. I mean, okay, I think we're good now. All right, let's see. My little brother just got a Purple Heart in Afghanistan, not injured. Bravery. That's cool. What service? And on your voice reminds me of Seth Rogen. Sometimes even your bong coughs. I've heard that, and I've also heard the Bob's Burger guy. Those are the two I usually get. The smoothest brain west of the Mississippi checking in. What's up, Conky Dong? Just saying this. More recent YouTube videos explain less about how we got to this point. Newer Patreons may not understand watching the previous videos. Yeah, I mean, so I did start going through today and looked up at least, I guess the best way to put it is I looked up like how to like create some video content, stuff like that. So I'm going to try to produce a video that is short, like within like 5 to 7 minutes, something that's like watchable, because most people are not sitting through and watching 2 hours of me coughing and trying to answer questions. So yeah, I was going to say I need to create some shorter ones that are. I know that, and I know that this format's not great for most people. So, all right. Hey, Anon, I hope you're doing okay. May I ask, were you or are you in BBIG? So, Sergio, I have a couple shares that I bought at like the low twos. It's a handful of shares. Like it's not. I would say it probably makes up for less than 1% of my overall. You know, I basically bought them as like, well, just in case this hits. It seemed like it was a pretty low price. But I saw the warrants on them, and I was like, I wasn't in love with the, number one, the float was already pretty big. Number two, I thought that the management was not as great, and they've literally exceeded my expectations of how incompetent sometimes they seem. I mean, these are the same. This is the same guy that basically ran. What was that company? It was the one in the '90s with the movies. I used to know it off the top of my head, but what was it called? Was it movies something? Movie Pass? Was that it? Or movie something? I don't remember, but. That guy basically, yeah, Movie Pass, that's it. Yeah. So, yeah, Movie Pass was like a good idea, but it was really, really it was not executed well. They thought they had an advantage over all these theaters, and then these theaters just turned around and basically took their idea and ran them into the ground. And they were losing money on the entire thing. And they thought they had leverage, and they didn't. And that, to me, just means that you are somebody that had money, but you didn't actually, like, I don't know where he made his money, but I can tell you those guys did not do a good job executing the business plan. And they did not have a moat around their business, and they completely overestimated how much power they had when trying to negotiate, especially with AMC, which is ironic. So AMC was actually part of that whole thing, and they thought they had power over AMC. And AMC was like, so why do we need you guys? And they wouldn't come to the table and negotiate. and they're like, we're not going to give away a bunch of free movies each day. And so finally what they did was they just said, okay, then we'll create our own version of this. And at that point, MoviePass needed AMC and the other theaters more than they needed MoviePass. So, all right. So Chris says, yeah, but so I have a very small position in BBIG. And I did hear that Tide got delayed again, right? Which bums me out for the people that are investing in it. Like, I have a small amount, so I guess I'm sorry for myself, but not like, I think I have like 500 shares, maybe 600 shares. It's like literally not a big position, and it was like $2 a share. So I didn't throw much at it. In a world. BBIG to AMC, Gme to Ater. Yeah, kind of. If you look at float sizes, that's about pretty accurate. Clips of Anon coughing loudest. Yeah, sorry guys. Chris says, okay, hey Anon, I decided, oops, I need to get Aterian up. I already feel it working. Maybe that apple cider stuff does work. And the Tums. I decided to put 1,000 into UVXY as a hedge, just in case Aterian takes a dump again. 9 times out of 10, UVXY goes up when Ater goes down. Well, that's not exactly correct, and I just want to make sure everyone knows this. UVXY is a leveraged, I think it's like a 2.5x leveraged inverse VIX, but it's not exactly what people think. It's following the M1 and M2 futures, not directly correlated with the VIX. So it's following the VIX futures, month 1 and month 2. So just so everyone knows that, yes, typically when the VIX is rising, it works kind of like an inverse to the SPY, but it's not actually that. It's just a coincidence because there are times where the the futures might be dropping when the actual SPY is going down. So it doesn't follow directly with it. So I just want people to know what that function is of that. So you also don't want to hold it for long periods of time, though, Chris, just because there is a good amount of theta decay that happens each day. So you better be hoping that the futures are looking like crap while you're holding UVXY. So just throwing that out there. I do, and with that said, I still have some, but I just want to make sure everyone kind of understands how that works. Okay, so I had 7 shares of BBIG and I sold today. I mean, so here's the thing, like, could someday they be better? Sure, but at this point right now, I just, I'm not willing to risk a large, chunk on them when I know Aterian, I think, is a much safer bet. I know people feel the opposite. They're like, well, they're going to be the next TikTok. I'm like, I've seen their platform. I guess it's getting bigger in India, but I don't know. I just I didn't see anything. And then I'm like, okay, so everybody was really excited about the Tide spinoff, and I'm like, okay, so if I like Tide as a Bitcoin mining company and other why don't I just buy Tide when it comes out? I don't have to buy BBIG. So I'll look at Tide's balance sheets and all that stuff, but crypto right now is not doing great. So it's one of those things where it's like, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, I'm not talking bad about them. I just, I'm disappointed that this got pushed back for investors, because I know a lot of people, have a lot of money sunk into that, and I'm hoping for them it works out. Best of luck to them, and in some ways, me too. I mean, like I said, I don't have a huge position in it, so for me, it's not like making me lose any sleep at night. I have a small position Ater, and I'm 80% GME. What makes you believe that Ater has more potential than GME? So, Trent, just so I can let you know, I'm heavy in GameStop myself. So, I'm not throwing out that it has more potential. I think it's similar potential. But here's the difference. GameStop at this point right now has already ran up, and it's very much in the public eye. Aterian's a very small, cap stock, right? So if you look back at its history, let's just go back real quick so you can take a look, right? This is a stock that had a run up here on very low volume, right? Back in, I guess it was they hit its peak in February, right after GameStop squeezed up here, right? But really, really took its next level of manipulation, I guess I should say, in my opinion, is when it ran up the second time here. You see the OBV and the money flowing in from retail. And then here's the thing, right? Just like GameStop, it never leaves. It just stays here. And then this last new run-up, it now is pinned up to the very top for money flow and OBV. And so if you look, for example, at GameStop, very similar, right? Where you have this long, drawn-out thing. But here's the difference. GameStop actually has had large price movements that have, even though we're sitting here down in the hundreds, and it's been all the way up to 500 pre-market, you've had a series of run-ups on this thing, right? And as, apes have de-risked their shares, it's becoming more and more it seems like frequent, at least. They had this long stretch where they didn't do anything, but this game's obviously still going on for the shorts and the longs, right? Now, if you take a look at Aterian, though, it has a smaller market cap, smaller float, though, too. And here's the thing. When we got up to this level right here, the bots came on with the green eyes, glowing green eyes, pretending to be, retail investors. And they were like, you got to sell at 7. Everybody sets a sell at 7. So they perfectly pushed the stock down at 7 and then bleeding it out, right? But here's the thing. Just like GameStop. GameStop's been, I believe, on 100% utilization since February 8th. Aterian has been on 100% utilization since March 8th. So just 1 month behind. But both of them have been basically over 70-something days on 100% utilization. GameStop has not been on Reg Show recently, though, but Aterian has. And so if you actually look, my guess will be in the next couple of weeks, if the stock stays down here in this price range, you're going to see it go back onto Reg Show again. And just like I showed people in the past, because I know you may not have been part of this channel or ever seen me before, I'll just show you what I was bringing up before. So here is AMC. AMC, this is Reg Show. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times before it squeezes, right? Here's GameStop. GameStop. The green bars are Reg Show. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5 was when it squeezed, right? Here's Aterian. Squeezed during this was on Reg Show. These are FTDs. Squeezed during, or quote-unquote squeeze. It ran to 7 here, but has been running down again. But my guess would be they were able to get some shares and some reprieve because of the institutional ownership changing and actually being added on. But at the same time, from the private placement, they probably just reset the FTDs, but they will come back again considering the fact that we're still 100% utilization. And we just came off of Reg Show, but it will probably go back on in a couple, couple days or weeks of this, it'll go back over. But the reason why I think that this has potential is because it's such a small float, right? So the one thing that we found out is big floats are very hard to squeeze. AMC had that run to 70 after a lot of pressure was built up, right? Here's this pressure that's been building up, right? And so since this run, this small cap stock has traded 1.4 billion shares since this, when they hit 100% utilization. This, I'm going to just highlight it right here. This run right here, all from this little dot right here for the earnings call, it's been 100% utilization, and this stretch right here has traded 1.4 billion shares on a stock that has a 25 million or now 28 million, free float. It shouldn't be trading that much. So it's being highly and heavily manipulated. What you're going to find out on this stock is, because it doesn't have the interest of GameStop or AMC, it's taking a lot longer. But you can already see, Fintel recently released that ownership statistic, and you can already see. I'm not supposed to put Fintel up, so I don't want to get my video removed. I did it last time and it messed me up, so I'm going to screenshot it. So, but Aterian right now is already up to 5.36% ownership, which is the highest now by far. It's 3.5% higher than anyone else. So you'll see. I mean, Aterian's got plenty of potential to, if this is what I did. I have a large position. I started buying back last year during the run. I went heavy, though, once it got near book value, and then went even heavier once it dipped below current asset values. And now I have been packing it in, especially down here. Whenever it dips below 3, I'm just loading the boat. So, and I'll mix it OnlyFans, but it's only for coughs. All right. They're now calling it BBAG in the chat. Oh, no. Poor BB. Listen, I'm sure they're going to be fine. There's an Ater reversal on MACD coming. Yep, that's right here. You can see it's flattening out. Probably not the best. Here, let me see on this one. You can see it better on this one. You can already see right here it's starting to curl up on the MACD. You can already see the ADL is starting to curl up. You can already see on the stochastic it's already crossed over. So, and it's, it's low. So, I mean, we've got plenty of room to run with this. So, I've been in BBIG since September, hoping for the best, along with Prague, AMC, and, of course, Ater. Yeah, I mean, a lot of... I've showed you guys before, all these stocks do the same exact thing. They have this run up, and then, and that, I know that's how OBV and money flow work, but there's not been a mass exodus of retail. It seems like retail is buying these stocks and then they're just holding them. Normally they would have cut these loose for losses, but it seems like ever since GameStop, everybody's been just holding and hoping for the best. And what ends up happening then is it's creating all these little side ones that are now becoming problems. And it's happening all over the market. Most people would have sold Aterian by now. I mean, look at this. You go from all the way up here to all the way down here to hit 210. Most people were 90% down on the stock. Most people would have sold, but they didn't. I mean, you can. I showed you guys this before. So, all right. The 1 week MACD I've been hearing lately. Yeah, I'm on the daily, but we can look up the weekly real quick. So here's the weekly. Yeah, so it's getting close on the weekly also, and you can already see. We want to see the stochastic probably, I would say, probably by Friday, maybe. Friday, which would be here. No. This is on a weekly, sorry. So maybe by next week, it would be crossing over on the stochastic if it doesn't move up in the next. I would say next week would be an interesting week for the weekly. Stochastic crossover, and it looks like by then the MACD should be crossing over too on the weekly. So it looks like good things are coming for Aterian, at least from the indicators. Yeah, so I mean, all you're looking at right here is, let's go back to the daily. Zoom out a little bit so you guys can see. So MACD is just an oscillator, right? So if you take a look, let's go back. So look at the MACD here, right? You see right here, it goes over. Once it crosses over, then usually there's a switch. It's basically showing you like now you've got some downward momentum. You see the MACD crossing over. The bigger it fans out, usually the larger the drops are. And what you'll find down here is whenever you see these things cross, it's usually a momentum switch. So like, look, when this ran up here, you saw the MACD was kind of just chopping around really close, really tight, and then all of a sudden you see it moving over, and there was all of a sudden, a large move up. And then here at the top, look what's happening. It starts crossing over here, and what do we get after that? We get bearish movement down, right? And it's now been wound up tight, for a while. So you had that going, and then same thing happens here. Once we crossed over here, we started seeing some bullish momentum, hit that peak here. It came down, and it really was tight around here, and it broke to the downside, and that's where we've had it. But you can see it's already starting to like fan back in, and it's starting to come up to cross over. And you can see the stochastic already crossed over, so we should be seeing. Anon, is it true I've been with Selena Gomez? No. I was going to say, I believe she's much, much younger than me, and that would probably be gross. I mean, she's a very pretty young lady, but my wife watches these things sometimes. Sorry, honey. But yeah, like, how old is she? Let's see. She's 29. That's not that. Okay, that's not that bad. It's still like much younger than me, but she's got a baby face, so she's not as young as I thought she was. All right. Yeah, of course, Trent. I was going to say, yeah, like none of this is financial advice, but what I'm showing you here is this stock is highly manipulated, and it's got room. So think about this. Like, you have, the last time it ran from 3 to all the way to 20, right? That's a pretty decent chunk. Now, granted, I know GameStop has a ton of ammo that's probably hidden, and my only problem, and here's the thing, I have a lot of GameStop. My only issue is I have a fear that because it's grown so big, it's now become a systemic problem, that they can allow it to go up, but they can't allow it to MOAS, because if they allow it to MOAS, then it proves to everyone that the stock market is completely manipulated, and that maybe this does happen, and we really get the fairy tale ending that all these retail traders won, and they've now changed their lives and stuck it to Wall Street. I would love for that to happen, but part of me has to be real and say, because it's grown so big, if they admit, basically by allowing MOAS to happen on both AMC and GME, that they're essentially admitting that the stock market's rigged. And if they do that, then the illusion's over, the fairy tale's over, and there has to be regulation. And they're going to try everything in their power for that not to happen. So what I think they do is they allow it to go up and just become a functioning company, and they'll always have diehard people holding their stock, but they'll just allow them to become like a good stock that's worth a good amount of money. That's what they did with Tesla. Tesla was very, very much heavily, shorted, and probably naked shorted, to be honest with you. And what they ended up doing was every time they had a cover and they were getting squeezed, Elon would issue an ATM into them and just go ahead and raise more money. And then he would pay for more factories, pay for more, that's how they grew. So I would imagine maybe the same sort of thing happens with GameStop and AMC, where they just, keep issuing ATMs, raise up a ton of cash, and then become like legitimate, like their book value is actually worth like $200-$300 a share for like GameStop, and for AMC maybe like 50-60 a share or whatever. Like that's just my thought, and I know that's not popular with a lot of people in the community, but I just think I'm trying to be realistic and think about like what would be, because everyone's like, oh, we'll stop investing in the stock market. And that's good and great, but most people, where else are you going to make your money? Like, if you're not in the market, it's really hard to, like, get that kind of compound interest. And, like, I don't know. I don't even think, crypto is that safe either. Like, it's not like crypto seems to be just like a pump and dump ladder. At times they just, these big guys pump liquidity into it, make the stock run up, make people buy in at these ridiculously high levels, and then they rug pull and take all their money out, and then everybody freaks out and panic sells, and over time you'll make money just like the stock market. But all right. When did I start investing or trading stocks? So I started investing when I was young. My grandfather, instead of buying us presents, used to give us $100 of like ExxonMobil or like Smuckers or like all sorts of like blue chip stocks. And then he would make us sit down with him when we went up to visit him and go over like, like what we owned. We had to understand what, dividend reinvestment was. We had to like, and he would like quiz, like, I mean, he was trying to teach us at a young age. And as a kid, I remember being like, Grandpa sucks. Like, my other grandpa used to give us Nintendos and like all these like, like Segas and so much cooler. Like, he would give us like real gifts. But in the end, I actually learned more about how money works from this other grandfather who never gave us, real presents. But, when I was 18 years old, all of a sudden I had like $18,000 of ExxonMobil when I was, just from dividend reinvestment. And obviously Exxon at the time was the number one, the largest company in the world. And he'd been giving me like for birthday presents, Christmas presents, and like a couple $100 each time into these stocks. And each time, just with dividend reinvestment, you would go ahead and any money you made on a dividend, you would reinvest it back into buying more stock. That's what dividend reinvestment is. So I actually learned at a very young age about this, because from when I was born, he was giving us this, and when we got old enough, he would make us kind of sit down with him and learn. And obviously, when I was in my early 20s, I was not as responsible with money, and I went to Iraq and blew all that money, and when I came back and on beer and partying, but I still had my stocks. And so it wasn't till though I was taking a college class on the GI Bill, and my professor, I took an accounting class. And one of the first things that I realized was that accounting class was going to be serious, and I was already taking like a bunch of like really hard classes, and I was taking 5 classes at the time because I was trying to like rush through, and I realized I was not going to be able to do it. Like, I went to like half the classes, and I was like, oh, nope, this is not going to work, because there was a lot of homework for that class. And so what I did was I waited till the winter semester, and I took it with this Army vet, and he had also gotten his degree on the GI Bill. And we had a conversation. He was like, listen, like, he's now a like CPA. He was like, I know you don't like this stuff. Because I was like, when am I ever going to use this stuff? I work for a small, at the time I was working for a really small company. I was like, why do I need to know all the stock stuff? And he was like, listen, this is all really good stuff. Like, you just have to like, he's like, if you want to learn how to like read a balance sheet, like, I'm like, well, yeah, I don't really want to, but I will. He was like, no, like you should learn how to read a balance sheet. You should learn how to do all this stuff. He's like, it'll help you with investing. I was like, well, I do like investing. He was like, yeah, like this is how you actually do it. He was like, yeah. And so he sat me down and he was like, I'll make sure you pass. You just have to make sure you put in the effort. So I would stay with him 30 minutes after every class and we'd go over whatever we were doing. And he made sure I passed that class. But I all of a sudden fell in love with this stuff. And I was like, oh, this is actually pretty cool. Like you can make money on this. And so that's kind of when I really got into it, was over the last, like, I guess I took those classes about 6 or 7 years ago, maybe more than that. That's when I started trading, really. I started investing younger, though. So unfortunately, holding all these stocks this is Jeff, has made my portfolio down 52%. So Jeff, I don't know how old you are. You look pretty young just based off your picture, but I'm going to say that you'll be fine, because most of the time, if you're looking at it like this, the time to switch already would have been. Like you're at this point right now, you're kind of like no man's land. Like, yeah, there's probably going to be more downside, but trying to time entries and exits into the market is really, really dangerous if you don't know what you're doing. And so most people tend to lose more money when they try to do that. I had a friend that was when we I'll tell you a quick story. So here's the SPY, right? So COVID happened. We crashed all the way down to 212, and he was convinced that we were going to get another crash, right? So this run right here, and I guess that was September of 2020. He sold out all of his stocks, his long positions here, and was going to re-enter back down here. Well, guess what happened? He sold all his things here and then had to he finally just re-bought back in up here, because he was like, how much higher can this go? Because he was just sitting on cash waiting. He missed out on a huge amount of like money. Bought back in here, and then I think, he sold, I don't remember. He still has it, I think. He's been holding, but he basically lost out of like maybe a couple years worth of like investing, just by trying to time it and then missing. Granted, if this crashes all the way down here and he had sold up here, then yeah, he would have timed it perfectly. But most people don't do that well, because you get too many head fakes like intraday. Like, look at this. This day right here. Like, it was all the way down here, pushed back up, right? That faked the crap out of people. And then you ran all the way back up and, basically created, a more recent high. Than we've been in this down channel since then. But what I'm telling you is, like, we just kind of been bouncing back and forth. But, could we get a break to the upside again? Sure. Like, that's very feasible. Might hit 420s again. And then what will probably happen is it will just absolutely tank worse than before. Because that's typically what they do. Is if you look at, like, when things move down, you usually have these, like, aggressive days down. You might have something like this, and this is what we call a dead cat bounce, because it goes right back down. So, but yeah, timing markets is hard, and most people do not do it well. So just be careful. And what I'm saying is, if you're patient, hold cash. Like, when you make money in your job or whatever you do, hold some cash, and then either you do it one of two ways. And I'm not giving financial advice, but like for me, I bought some SPXU, which is inverse, and I'm buying it for September, knowing that I think it's going to happen before September. So I'm just looking for these holes on the gap, these gaps on the SPY to fill. There were gaps here during the election run-up, and that's my target right now. So I'm planning on building up a hedge that whenever we have nice green days like today, I add more to that SPXU in hopes that someday, when this does eventually go back down to that level, that I can then sell those and enter long. But that's just my personal investing style. So what's going on, G-Man? What's up, John? Doesn't OBV holding while the price tanks essentially count as the market's rigged? I mean, that's one way of interpreting it. Like, it's just showing you that no one's mass exiting, which is showing you probably that retail's holding, or at least the majority of shareholders are holding. It doesn't have to be retail. It could be also institutions. But when that happens and the price goes down, that it's essentially showing you that the price does not always equal what's going on behind the scenes. And that's the part I think most people find very frustrating, because they think that the market's supposed to be this regulated place, and once you learn how the market's really just the Wild Wild West, and the SEC tries to do what they can, but typically does not succeed. So, the government not wanting to happen versus stubborn retail. Yeah, I mean, no one in the market wants MOAS to happen. Like, I can tell you that now. Like, it's bad for business if MOAS happens, because basically it will probably create a huge market crash. Will it happen? I don't know. It's possible. I hope for us, for retail investors who have dedicated a lot of time and effort, that it, ends up working for us, because, I've been very patient. I'm just, I've gone through periods of a lot of anger towards the system. At one point when GameStop ran up, I had made $450,000 just off GameStop options, and I didn't sell them. And to me, that will always be one of my greatest, like, kick myself in the butt moments, because, I'm still up though on the long shares, but I had a chance of gaining life-changing money for my family. And I held for other retailers. And I know that's like, the big no-no, you're supposed to look out for yourself. But, like, to me, the GameStop community was, and still is, like, a very important thing, because it's showing the market how messed up the market is. And it's doing it in plain sight. And they're making no apologies for it. And eventually, I think that every share, unless they do a bunch more ATMs, that they're going to lock up the float. It's something that could happen with Aterian too. I mean, Aterian right now is a very small float. And if retail is showing that they own a good chunk of it, if they remove those shares, I mean, that would be game-changing, because, the FTDs would start building up again. They'd be on reg show. The SEC probably had to come and take a look. And, I know they're already investigating, because, I've talked to the SEC, and they're like, we can't discuss ongoing investigations. But, like, the DOJ's on this, like, there's a bunch of different, the problem is it's so broad. It's like, I can give you a list of probably 40 or 50 companies that are all having the same exact problem, that, they're being manipulated. They're being probably, likely naked shorted. But yeah, undervalued growth stocks, small caps that are heavily shorted. Yep. All right, so it sounds like the heel of it, investing in one stock and holding it over time, but there's big money with smaller growth stocks. Yeah, and did he say stuff like diamond hands? Crypto's problem is the staking the APR. The only reason you borrow crypto is to sell it short. I feel like none are collecting their 10 to 20% that are facilitating the shorts. Yeah. Giving a fish and teaching to fish. Yeah. Ape strong together, and someday you'll know what that means. Can you explain MOAS? Sure. MOAS it's an acronym for Mother of All Short Squeezes. Oh, Chris said it. Yep. Thanks, Tom. Appreciate it. Thanks for the stream, man. Have a beer on me, bro. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Yeah, we haven't really been getting a ton of... I mean, the stock's been down, so I totally understand it. But, like, yeah, I appreciate that. It's been a while. Let's see. All right. Thanks for the young-looking comment. I have 5 grandkids. I was on vacation in October, and the market started going down because of COVID. It wasn't in my game. Was waiting for the reversal. Yeah, that's fair. So, okay, if you're farther up in your, getting towards retirement age, at this point right now, you've got to make a decision because we're at a kind of like weird place on the SPY. There's probably more downside, but at the same time, it depends on what you're invested in. Like if you have dividend stocks and, you're collecting decent dividends out of them, those are ones I probably wouldn't touch. If you're invested in all meme stocks right now, getting towards retirement age, that's something that'd be a lot more, dangerous, but at the same time, possibly lucrative. It's just, there's a lot of stuff. Honestly, you probably should talk to a financial advisor if you're, worried about this stuff because they can probably put you in a better spot than anybody that's online telling you how to invest your money. I would trust, honestly, like somebody that knows fixed equities, knows all the different, tax perfect, that's who I'd be talking to. Like there are people out there, if obviously they pay for their services are a little bit more, and if you're a do-it-yourself person, that's fine. But like, you want to make sure your money's safe. So. Hey, Anon, do you think Executive Order 13959 for June 3rd will affect Aterian or the larger market? I mean, it's possible. I mean, once again, like I read that and I didn't take the same take as everybody else. I know everybody else thinks that that's going to be MOAS. Personally, I read it and I didn't see any major changes besides the fact that it was basically expiring and like I didn't see anything that said that anyone had to close anything or, I don't know. I'll read it again if you want, but let me see if I can pull it up. We'll read it together and see if we can pick it apart because last time I read it, which was a couple weeks ago, I didn't take the same thing that everybody else did. But whenever you read legalese, it's like... All right, so we should be able to, hold on. I should be able to keep that up. I don't think there's a problem with me sharing a link on Google. All right. Is this the update though? No, this is from 2020. I need the update. Let me see if there's an update. All right. In particular, the June 3rd amendments prohibit the purchase or sales of any publicly traded securities or publicly traded securities that derive of such securities that are designated to provide investment exposure to such securities of any person listed in the annex of the EO, Executive Order. That means that to operate or have operated defense or related material sectors of the surveillance technology or economy of the People's Republic of China, or to own or control or... I'm just reading this again. So, from that, I don't see anything that says the... So it all depends on what they consider, part of the People's Republic of China's surveillance or like defense, right? So are bonds considered part of that? Because that's where a lot of the BlackRocks and these other companies have like a bunch of collateral sitting there. Are those considered? So I don't see them saying specifically they can't invest in certain like bonds and other things like that. But I mean, I guess if a roundabout way, bonds are government issued. So does that count? Like, and that's, I think, one of the things that like, if there's no clear, concise language that tells me that bonds and stuff like that are part of this. Let me see if I'm going to do a Control F and look up bonds. See, in the executive order from, yeah, so here's the new one. All right, so, but there's nothing, no mention of bonds. Let's see. Thanks so much, Jason. Appreciate it. All right. So, Anon, you should create a PayPal account with video donations and ask people to visit or donate there, and not YouTube Super Chat. YouTube or PayPal only takes 5%. YouTube takes 30%. Yeah, I was gonna say I realized very quickly that YouTube takes a lot of my money, and actually I'm on Patreon, and Patreon takes a good amount of my money too. So I think the plan I have takes like, I don't know, like 12% or something like that. But I'll look into some of those things later on. But it's been going around for a while. Executive order. Look up debt, not bonds. Okay. Let's try debt. It doesn't have debt either. So it does have military, but just what keywords can we look for? Because when I read through this, and this is from Executive Order of June 2021, right? We are now 2022. And this was extended under Biden. Because I think I saw something, Joseph A. Biden. So it started under the Trump era, and then it got extended during Biden. Hold on, here we go. We can at least... So I guess these are some companies that are on the list. Now, I know Evergrande, or was it Evergrande? It's not even on here, so that's not one of them. Yeah, I didn't see anything on here that made me think that they would have to all of a sudden like liquidate their positions, or like they wouldn't count anymore. It was just if you were invested in some of these specific companies I would imagine, if you're a BlackRock, or if you're like a really smart investor, yeah, I mean, I would imagine most of them have exited out of these positions by the time this thing's going to roll around. So, like, I don't see anything specifically that says that they have to, like, liquidate the stuff, or, like, they, Yeah. So people want to know. Look up equity. This order is not intended to create any right or benefit, substantive or procedural, enforceable, or an equity of any party. Again, that's the only thing that says equity. I thought it was Chinese ETFs, and some of the companies prohibited the value of the ETF drops. Section 1A. Okay, here's Section 1. Section 1A. The following activities by a United States person are prohibited. Let's read through. To own or control or be controlled. So the purchase or sale of traded securities described in the subsection. I'm still not seeing. I mean, I'm reading through section 1A, and now we're in subsection C. But this right here, section A, I don't see anything that specifically says, like, I mean, you have to think that these guys would have already moved money out of those things. Like, find somewhere else to place their money, like even like a reverse repo or like, I mean, just, I don't know how much impact this is going to have. To me, this looks like somebody has an interpretation that might be different than mine, and I hope they're right, but I don't see anything in here that makes me go, yeah. I mean, I don't know how many more he added, but like you can see the list of the companies down here. It looks like it's probably about 70 total, but I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll see, but at this point right now, I didn't see anything in there. I mean, if you guys want to go and look it up, it's all I did was I just typed in to Google, like executive order, put in the thing, and then said update, and then it brought me here, and then under this gives you all the sanctioned companies, but yeah, I don't have the same interpretation as everybody else, or, has anyone actually read it? Because, I mean, I've read it now like twice, and I don't see anything that specifically tells me that they have to close out their positions and that this is going to cause like a MOAS situation. Like, maybe I'm interpreting it wrong, and I hope I am, because I would love for GameStop and all these other stocks to squeeze. The cough's gone, though. I think that did the trick. Better, right? I don't think I've coughed in a while. All right. So what do you guys want to cover? I mean, like, I haven't seen anything that's like pressing as far as, there wasn't a ton of new information that came out today specifically about Aterian. I think mostly what I saw was we're getting some clarification on, like through Fintel, we're also getting a good amount of, let me just do this real quick. There we go. Hey, what's up, Ninja? Ninja's the other mod on Aterian stock. What's going on, man? Been too long. Given how this market works, everyone thinks MOAS is going to do the complete opposite, and Chinese stocks are going to go up. I mean, wouldn't that be something? We had it all wrong. They were using us as leverage or something, and just. All right. Fidelity and E-Trade said that they will be selling positions if you have them in your account. You're talking about for MOAS. Yeah. I mean, I've heard that too. All right, hon. All right, so could you compare and look at the MACD when Ater and GameStop and AMC both ran up? I mean, MACD doesn't look that different. MACD will just, when it crosses over, you'll see a big fan and you'll see a large swing up. Like, MACD would not be the indicator you probably want to like gauge everything off of, but let's take a look. All right, so here it is. This is the MACD. Zooming out a little bit gives you a little bit of a, so we were at 17. right here. It's still very tightly wound. This is where it starts separating, right? So it crossed over here, right here, on January 13th. The MACD on the daily crossed over. And then you can see it obviously widely fans out, stays up here. And actually, it doesn't really start coming down until this day right here. And then it switched over pretty bearish really quickly, and this is where it crossed over. Then you have this bearish condition for a while. And then, if you guys remember, it hit all the way down to like 38, and then out of nowhere, boom, it crosses over again. Runs up here for the secondary pump. But yeah, like the MACD is just, it'll be a large elevated spike like this. And then once it crosses over that, usually there's a bearish reaction. Here's another pump up and back down. If you want to look at AMC, so on AMC, you had right here, it crossed over, and then starts separating here around the 25th of May last year, and then has that nice run up to 70, right? And then there's still actually more continuing along here. They're both flagging it out, and then eventually they lost some momentum and it went down a little bit, but all right, and Aterian. So, on the one with low volume, I don't think the MACD looks that, here's the MACD, it crosses over down here at December of that year. Yeah, this nice run up to 48. Then gets shorted all the way down. Hits right here. Yep. You can see right here, it crosses over here in the bearish position, has a nice low run up, sputters a little bit, and then bleeds out because of dilution last year with high trail. So, all right. So, any idea what happened to Gme and AMC? Yeah, I mean, so these stocks right now, they've been getting, just bled down over the daily. Like, if you look at, the long term on these things, GameStop had been bleeding, right? And it had been down here before. We didn't even touch the recent low, but, they basically got it to bleed out for a couple weeks, months, and then nice little run up, and then bleeding back down. And then we might have another run up again. Getting tired. All right, let's see. All right, my question is, when this came under Trump, didn't they have time to exit before this went into effect? What's different now? They still have time. They're supposed to close it down, if they have collateral in those companies, but yeah, that's why it's really trying to time these things. There are times where people are like, oh, So I'm just reading. This is why you want to be a diamond holder. You never know when these spikes can happen. A lot of times it's not even normal trading hours. So if you don't hold them, you can miss the ride. Yeah, I mean, GameStop ran, I think, to 350 here in after hours, if I remember correctly. I called my friend. I was like, it's not done yet. It's still moving. Because he was like, it's done, man. I'm like, no, it's not. So I called him up that evening. He's California. I was like, it's running. He was like, what? It's like, you sold, didn't you? He's like, yeah, I sold. And I'm like, idiot. Sold down at 40. Couldn't handle it. let's be clear. There will be no dilution until this time to 15 to 25. Yeah, there's no immediate dilution. I mean, we already ran to 7 on Aterian, and they didn't issue anything out. I mean, that would have been a perfect time to, if they really were worried about, cash and all that stuff. And, I think they have enough cash. I mean, sure, you can never have enough cash. Everyone needs cash. But, they didn't feel the need to actually dilute the stock. Sorry, I stole my kids' jelly beans. Yeah. So, yeah, dilution's not like... There's dilution in September that can happen. I kind of explained that to you guys before. What made it go to 48? That's a good question. Because I want you to look at volume, right? This run happened on all this volume. This was 250 million traded in a single day on a stock that had 15 to 20 million free float. Now, here, we had a bunch of volume too. Volume's died down since then. So what happened when here at 7 all the way to almost $50 a share? How did that happen? It happened on no volume. No volume at all. It's kind of the crazy part, right? Like, you're like, okay, wait. How did it go all the way? And here's the thing that's also crazy. Shorts didn't touch it up here. Hey, good night, Jerry. Thanks for hanging out. But yeah, like, shorts didn't short it up here. Shorts shorted it down here. So at this peak, they didn't even short it. Crazy. You guys have to remember also, the float was different back here. So you have to take that into account, right? Now, if this thing runs because of, obviously, it's been heavily shorted, and shorts are having to cover positions and all that stuff. And if a margin call happens, which on Aterian's not as likely unless the company that's shorting some of the other larger companies like GameStop or AMC is having to cover. That's what I'll say. But when Aterian runs and then dilutes, does the run end? No, I mean, so here you have to kind of like think about this. Like, as long as there's short interest in a large amount, anything over like 10 to 15 is pretty large. So you constantly have this over your head, which is, okay, at some point they're going to issue out probably an ATM, like a at the money offering. But at the same time, they don't really need the cash right now. So, say, for example, we hit 25 a share and those warrants get unlocked. That will add an additional, I think it's 5 million shares at that level. Like, if we're doing 150 million a day in volume, it'll slow down things, but it's not going to like completely stop it. So, it's hard looking at the price right now, but I'm not going anywhere. Yeah, Maggie, I mean, it's tough, and I know a lot of people are very invested in this. My recommendation to most people is, if you're having a hard time watching the price, if you're watching the price all day long, if you're not used to like staring at tickers and watching lots and lots of money fly by each way, I would set price alerts and just move on with your day. Because honestly, like if you have no intention of selling, don't torture yourself. Like, that's the honest truth. Like, if you're not planning on selling down at these levels, set a reminder that says if the stock gets over $5, let me know. And then if the stock drops below 100 or 142, let me know. Like, there you go. All right. Let's see. Fish just sent me the Bloomberg. So if anyone wants to see the Bloomberg, let's take a look real quick. Okay. So we took a move up. Obviously, there was 11,000 calls bought today, only 2,300 puts, almost 2,400 puts. That skews the call side open interest to 112K, almost 113, and the put side only 30. Let's see. There was an increase overall of 750 Junes, $5 Junes. Looks like 750 January 2023. So, but I'm very curious to see if the IV spikes, what's going on with this thing, because there's a lot of opportunity. People are starting to average down. We'll see what the stock does. I'm in the camp right now that I think this could be a bear or a bull trap, but we're going to find out tomorrow once we see what GameStop and some of the other memes are doing. If they get just completely hammered down again, then it was probably just a bull trap. But if it starts flying up, then it's possible that there's something here. All right. And it's been mentioned that Fintel wrote an article about Aterian. I don't remember seeing any articles about Aterian with Fintel, but I don't read everything Fintel puts out, so I don't know. I'm standing up real quick. I grab my microphone in my hand, and I'll just talk to you guys like this for a second. Yeah, so I didn't realize Fintel writes articles, but I guess I've seen them link things. I just assumed it was like third-party stuff, but what did they say in this Fintel article? Kyle. Is it possible they let this run up to the warrant levels? My guess would be no. Those warrants are pretty far away, so I would imagine they probably want to stay away from those as far as they can, because that would be, they'd have to just go long and close out all their shorts. So kind of put a light on the shorts manipulating us since May 2021. Oh yeah, like this is a heavily manipulated stock, and it's going to continue to be until there's some regulation that actually is going to fix some of this stuff. So Kyle's got a question. Okay. Or was that the question? Jason, you posted what earlier? Did I miss it? Let me go back. Oh, options chains. Yeah, we can go over those real quick. I mean, you're kind of seeing it on the Bloomberg, but we can go over real quick. Hold on. That'll be the last thing we do tonight. How's that? I can do that for you guys. I haven't been covering it as much just because it sounded like people wanted to focus on common shares and this, thing, but let's cover the option chains for the degenerates out there. All right. I'm one of them. It's okay. I can call myself that. I'm not really a degenerate, but it's obviously one of those dual-edged swords. You can make a lot of money and lose a lot of money. Hopefully you make more than you lose. Okay. All right. I'll screenshot it real quick. I'm actually thinking that next week might look a little more interesting for movement. Based off the unless we crush it tomorrow and the just indicators go through the roof the other way, going up, that would be really cool to see. But at the same time, I don't know how, based off the indicators that I was looking at, it looks like more like next week might be more of like when the crossovers happen on some of these, like the MACD, and so we'll see. But once again, I never do dates. I think dates lead to disappointment, and disappointment leads to paper hands. And to me, I'd rather just tell people the data. They can make their own decisions. And honestly, I'm good with that. Good with how that works. All right, so this is in the money. Didn't go right here. In the money. There's not a lot of resistance on the put side. They've got more stacked up at 3. I'm sure they'd love to drop it below 3 by Friday. That's probably the goal. All right, here we go. So, once again, I don't have an options scanner, so I don't know every one of these, but we can assume most of the calls, probably like 80% of them, are probably bullish. And even though there are some people learning how to sell covered, cash secured puts, which is bullish, I'm glad I got these, though. I picked up a good amount of, I sold, which is bullish, 250 puts for on Monday, knowing that I thought the stock was going to be around like between like 280 and 3 by Friday. That's what I thought. So far, it's around that, so I'm pretty good right now. But I'm sure they would love to push it right down below just to finish out the week, burn off, all these that are stacking up now. But if you look here, this is all burned right now. There's like a tiny bit of like open interest at this 350 level that I'm sure retail would love to go over, get all those in the money. But you do see a good amount of people buying the 250s and the 3s. So hopefully people are learning from that and not getting burned as often. So everyone good on that with the options? Like, there's obviously significantly higher open interest around this level. There seems to be more of open interest in this level. So, all right, covered that. Everybody else good? Ninja's hanging out with us. That's cool. Let's see if there's anything new. All right, so Kyle's gonna DM me the link in Discord. That's cool. Thank you so much for that. Unless you're selling options, yeah, most of them could be gambling. Luke Sky, like Luke Skywalker, Intel or Fintel Data. All right. I'm getting tired, so let's just wrap this up. It's about 11. That's usually when I wrap up. So, in summary, I've got to put out some videos that are shorter in nature. I've been saying that for a while, but I'm going to really try to crank out some tomorrow. I'll probably pop a ADHD medication pill, and I'll just start working on it first thing in the morning and not look up until I get something that's at least halfway decent, and then I'll maybe show you guys, and you guys can yay or nay it. I'm reading that article that you guys linked me on Fintel. So they're basically taking a bunch of people from Reddit, quoting them, making us sound like... Yeah. Yeah, it's a quick read. It's pretty lately written, to be honest with you. It's not like... Over the last 7 days, the stock climbed 74 spots. I'll be honest with you, it was really one day. Just one day. Yeah, I don't know. I think I've got it down. I actually have some software that I bought that I think I can create a video with. It's just a matter of like me figuring out like what format am I going to do? Add a cartoon or who knows, but all right. So let's link the Discord so I can get to bed, get some sleep, and then hang out with you guys tomorrow. Hopefully we'll have some good news to report too. So there you go. I didn't contact Fintel today. I was actually doing some other things, so I was not able to get in touch with them. But I think other people were reaching out to them, and hopefully maybe they asked the right questions. And as a reminder, I do have a Patreon that if you enjoy hanging out with me, the goal is eventually to get me enough money where I can quit my job and stream full time during the day so I can just hang out with you guys trading. So that's the goal. I don't know if we'll ever get there, but I'll just keep trying so I can prove to my wife that all my silly stock stuff can't pay off. All right. There it is. So we got the Discord and we got the Patreon. So thanks so much, guys. Good hanging out with you, and we'll go ahead and see you tomorrow, hopefully pre-market, and if not, I'll see you guys in the evening. All right, have a great night.